They're not going away. You know they're not.
I'm talking to the cats.
Indeed. Hello, everyone. Good evening. You are back on my show. I don't even know what to call this one. It's just me, basically. It's not the Talkwards, because we're not really having an awkward conversation. We're just having a chat. It's a cuppa series, basically.
Yeah.
Like a cuppa series. But we're just talking, for those who are watching, we're just talking about crystals. And could you know what this is that you gave me? Because I've got no idea, Jonathan. What
it looks like fluorite to me.
Fluorite, because my dreams. So basically, just to give you a bit of background, when I went up to see Jonathan and Anne before I moved down to Devon after one of Jonathan's readings sent me down here, they kindly gave me this, and my dreams. Oh my God, it was like I had a Hollywood film set in my head for like 4 weeks after I got this. My dreams were like films. They weren't like patchy. They were like profound pieces of like proper film art. And I was like, what the hell? So I've tried to put it outside. Oh, no, I didn't try it. I put it outside the other day in like a bird bath thing that my mom's got. And I laid it in the water, the natural rainwater under the moon. And I gave it a little wash, and then I put my little labradorite one underneath as well. And again, it's charged up again, and my dreams are now once again in full swing. Yeah. So what else does it do for you, this one, other than send you west on your dreams?
Oh, crikey!
Can you remember?
I can't actually. There's loads of stuff, God. Trouble is, I've got that many crystals in my head now. It's like I've just done a sound meditation with citrine for the solstice,
Yep.
And that's in fact I've got a little piece of it here actually. So I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah, this is the stuff. So when we moved house, our house basically I don't know if I told you this story with the citrine, did I?
I don't know.
So when we were selling the house, we put it online, and we had like 4,500 views online on the Rightmove, or it was called, whatever. But no one was coming to the house. No one was calling. We weren't having any inquiries or anything. I was like, there's got to be something. There's 4,500 people checking this thing out. It's on for a good price. It's got everything you need. Good area. I'm not really sure what's happening. And then we went to see another friend of mine, Maria. And she said, maybe you should just do some sound in the house. And because I was asking her if we could do like feng shui or something. And she came round with a crystal bowl. With a, what's the metal bowls called? I forgot what they're called. You know what you've got? The
Tibetan singing bowls.
Yeah, Tibetan singing bowls. She came around one of them and some citrine. And she put citrine in every window of the house and did sound in every room. Yeah. Within 24 hours, we had 4 cash offers on our house.
Oh.
In 24 hours, 4. Yeah. We were like, what the hell? It was just the energy just shifted. And then obviously we got the buyer and off we went. But citrine, if anyone's watching, it works. Yeah. It really works.
Stuff. It's lovely, really beautiful yellow, and it's like clouds or snow or whatever inside that. And it's just amazing, it's lovely, absolutely lovely. Yeah. Oh crikey! You've got me. I'm gonna have to look that up now. About.
You can look it up. I can be chatting to people while you look it up. That's fine. So for those of you who have just joined, thank you very much this evening. We've got David on as well. So hello, David. We were just having a joke in Telegram. He's in the chat already. So this is going to be a regular thing where me and Jonathan are going to come on and talk about energy and just do a catch up of what's going on in the world and sharing messages from Jonathan's guides. And I just wanted to give Jonathan the space really to be able to do more live stuff, and I like having a chat with him. We have a cup of tea and just go down the rabbit hole for a bit, which is, I thought, why not? So that's what this evening's about. And then we were talking about crystals because he asked me what my necklace was, which is labradorite and jade, which is quite powerful. And then we started talking, going down the crystal rabbit hole, and now we're here. Yeah,
wonderful. Yeah.
Love it. So what's been going on with you, Jonathan? What has been happening?
Just mention the sound meditation we do. We do an annual one for the solstice, the winter solstice, because it's one of my favourite days of the year anyway, because it means the daylight's coming back. Yay! And so it was really about manifesting a better world. So using that amazing solstice energy, with a wonderful group of people, all coming together and using the power of sound. And you'll know obviously what all that's about, Nat.
I know nothing about sound. I've never heard of it. Imagine. Go on.
And it was a wonderful evening. But it was kind of inspired a little bit with the stuff that I've been receiving recently in terms of the energy portals opening. I'm in touch with my son quite often. He lives in Vienna, and he's quite a switched on guy. Well, a very switched on guy, I should say. He's under the cosh a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, I've read your blog that you put out this
Oh
week.
yes, yeah. But anyway, he's keeping his spirits up, and you know, we have these amazing chats, and he goes off on his journeys with his guides, and I go off on mine, and we kind of come together every week and share the findings. And he said that there were some portals opening up on the 12th of December, some very positive energy portals. And also on the 21st, of course, which is, you know, if we go down the deep dark rabbit hole, we understand that these dates are used. If I call them both sides, that sounds a bit, you know, whatever, but we've got the light and the dark, and these specific dates are very significant for both the light and the dark. And so you'll find that whatever the dark tries to kind of use that energy, the light will also be using the energy as well. It's this kind of strange, weird spiritual dichotomy going on all the time, you know. But the power that's coming through from the solstice portals, he did mention a number actually, and I can't remember what the number was, but there was quite a few portals opening. It's mainly, I would say, cosmic consciousness right now. And we have been in touch with a number of, let's say, different beings. I was introduced to a Syrian guide yesterday, by the way, in a reading.
Wow.
Never been in touch with a Syrian before, and that's not somebody from Syria on Earth. It's actually from the binary star system, and they're quite amazing. And so it's kind of the message is possibly, you know, I might have touched on it last time now, but the message is that we are entering into a new phase of light, really, and we are all able to be there, you know. It's a message I perhaps go over many times, is that people say, well, you know, what can I do? You know, I'm sat at home and I can't do much, and you know what, but it's like all it is, and of course we're back to the sound healing, is that it's the intention that's important. We just intend for this better world, and we've got to keep really throwing the thoughts out there, keep manifesting that however we envision that world. Just allow it to be, allow it to come into life in the meditations. And it's like anything else. I think we touched on it last time. It's like, don't kind of project into the future, actually be it right now. You know, that's the thing. That's the whole point of it. It's to be it. It's to actually feel as though we're actually living it right now. Yeah. And there's certainly been signs for me, anyway, of I would say greater awakening amongst the sector of society that I won't name them, but a certain sector of society that have chosen to take a certain pathway in life, and I'm seeing these people now actually questioning quite a lot of what's going on around them, and it seems to be that wonderful, because we need these people, you know, to come together with us now and to work together to really create that amazing energy. So just at this moment in time, that's where I am right now. It's all very, like I say, very cosmic based. The other thing I wanted to mention is about what we call the Christ consciousness, and that is very strong right now. And it's not just about the figure of Jesus. It's about the whole consciousness that surrounds, well, I would say humanity, really. Humanity, and, you know, the ascended masters, and that's an energy I've never really felt before, I'll be honest. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's becoming more and more intense all the time. And, you know, we might have touched on biblical stuff again previously, Nat, but there's a lot, and I think you mentioned, didn't you, last time, that you started reading the Bible and it was starting to make sense, and it's
a lot of sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. So never write it off. You know, there's a lot of it in there, sadly, that isn't really the truth, I would say, but there's a lot in there that I feel is the truth, and I suppose we all take our own truth, don't we, whatever we take away from it, is what I'm trying to say. But the message of the Christ or Jesus was that we are like God. Okay, we are all part of that God source, that God energy. And that was his message. Sadly, it got twisted and corrupted for those people on the planet who like to have a little bit of power and a little bit of control. But the basis of the message was that if you want to find that God, then you've got to look within. So that right now is attempting to bring humanity together again. Attempting to help us to awaken to who we actually are, you know, our actual divine spirit, our origins, that we are part of that that oneness, that God source, the Godhead, call it whatever you want, but the divine part within us. So it's gently kind of working now to push us and to wake us up into that direction. So yeah, that's where I am, I think.
I love that's where you are right now. For me, I get so excited when I never thought I would say this in a million years. I get so excited when talking about God. For me, going down the rabbit hole. So I was born a Christian. Well, I was born, should we say, and then I got told I was a Christian. Can't say born a Christian, but I was born and I got told I was a Christian. I used to go to Sunday school, but I was only really there for the orange squash and the biscuits and stuff. You know, it was never really like my true intention to really do anything. And I then went off on a path of like, I don't believe this bollocks anyway. You know, if there was a God, you know, it wouldn't let all this stuff go down on the planet. I'm sure it'd be a lot nicer. I had so much judgment, and I kind of went off on my path, or whatever it was, dance or a path. And I ended up kind of being totally unaware of anything that was ethereal. I was just very much partying all the time. I was living here, not looking up. There was no deeper connection. There was always an interest in like aliens and like alternative stuff, and Area 51 I was obsessed with. But that's just the mystery. It was not essentially Area 51. It's just the mystery around it. You could say the same for Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. You know, no one goes in, no one comes out. It's all kind of the same mystery. And then when I started on my journey, my spiritual path, we'll call it, there was so many rabbit holes, which is essentially, you know, the fun and exciting part. But little did I know that no matter what rabbit hole you go down, you end up understanding that each rabbit hole, whether it's architecture, geometry, sacred geometry, whether it's hidden histories, whether it's anything to do with anything mysterious, it all ends up at sound and energy. And they're the very, you know, the very bottom of the rabbit hole. Therein also lies God. And I never thought that my belief in God would come out of a rabbit hole, because I was so dead set on God was just a concept. It was just a belief system. It's not my thing. And then I started having evidence for a presence in my life that was completely unnameable, but it was a feeling that was so much greater than me. And then I realized that every time I truly surrendered and allowed, let things be rather than letting go, I let things be, I would always get what I needed, and I was always supported. So there was more and more evidence of there's a presence working with me. And then I watched a really amazing, and there's quite a few things that I've seen along the way that I really enjoy, but there was something more recently in the last year called The Chosen. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called The Chosen.
Oh, you mentioned it. I can't get it on I have to buy it, I think. So
Right. Well, you can watch it. You can watch it for free. So the whole thing is, it's like it's the world's largest crowdfunding platform, world's
right.
largest crowdfunding project, and you can watch it on the app if you get the app. And
All right. Okay. I might
yeah, if
do
you
that.
get the app, and then you can watch it, and you can donate to let other people watch it. And it's kind of like this
Yeah.
whole project. 250 million people had watched it when I saw it, and I think it's gone way above that now. But it's something that really resonated with me, is that I really understand now that God is an end. This isn't my understanding. This might not be everybody else's. I have faith that God is an entity outside of myself. What we share is the power within him, I, or her, whatever you want to call God. I'm not precious on gender. It's 2021. I don't mention it. So the idea is just like, for me, there's something outside of me that is greater than me, that allows me, that draws me into being the best version of myself, that draws me into just being more, doing more, and being more of myself. And that it's like this path within that I take. And I think about it when I think about God, it's like there's something about Jesus Christ when people say, oh, in the name of God. And it's when people say in the name of Jesus Christ, it's actually in your, like, so if I was to say, if I wanted to heal your cat, for example, not saying I could, but if I wanted to heal your cat, by me saying in the name of God, I heal this cat, that's not going to work, because I am not God. I'm very aware that I am not God. There's a part of the energy that we share. But then if you say, in the power of Jesus Christ, I heal this cat, I'm also not Jesus Christ. So if I was to invoke myself and bring my energy into it and recognize myself for all that I am, I could use the healing power of in the name of Natalie Lorraine Richardson. And this is I think this is our divine right. This is what we're here for, is to recognize ourselves with that greatest power and be humble enough to be able to take it and use it. Thy will be done. But it's using that energy in a way through ourselves that is our highest vibration. And that for me has worked. I'm not saying I'm going around healing cats and even in Reiki, but like the idea is that there's an energy running through me that is available to me all the time that I can use whenever I want to. And sometimes when I don't use it, it's like, why didn't you use it? Like a friend of mine's been saying to me recently, like, where's God in that? Bring God into this equation. And it does really help, because we're not here. And, every time I bring in God, or I bring in the idea that I am part of something greater than me, there's no loneliness. I'm not lonely. I could be on my own, on top of a mountain, and it'd take 3 days to find a human being, but I'm never alone. Because I have that faith in God. And that's my connection that I've really started to feel good in. And when I'm reading the Bible, when I go to sleep sometimes, and a few nights, like not often, but I'm trying to get more and more into it, there's a connection. There's like a presence just in the pages. I mean, the pages are like bloody tea bag width. It's so, reading it, I don't know what is it with church books and really skinny pages and paper? I'm like delicately turning the page so I don't want to rip it. But I just feel like there's a presence, and it's taken over the spiritual connection in the sense of what I used to believe in. Now it's way more grounded. Does that make sense?
Well, it certainly does to me, and that consciousness that I've mentioned is becoming, to me, it's becoming tangible now. It's actually a thing, and it's kind of enveloping us like a blanket, really, like a beautiful kind of warm blanket of love and healing. And I was going to mention something. You're talking about the God part of us, really, and we, it's fine to be in that consciousness of the God consciousness, and sadly, there are a number of people that kind of take that into an ego level, and that's the bit where it tends to fall down. But when we understand that we never, as you say, we're never alone. We're never separated from that God consciousness. Never separated from it. And it's with us all the time. And you mentioned about healing. Our little cat that you might have just seen wandering across the screen a few times, she's a very healing cat. She will come to me and give me healing, when I need it. And we, do a reciprocal. I'll give her a little bit of healing when she needs it as well. But it's kind of, that's just a basic fundamental nature of human beings. It's like it's nothing magical about it as such. We've all got that. And again, that was a message that Jesus said to us, what I do, you can do also. What's within me is also within you. You just have to find it. And that really is the journey that we're on right now. And it's becoming more and more powerful, and I expect that the next 12 months we'll see a greater enlightening of the masses towards that kind of consciousness. And I just noticed a comment there, Nat, from Deb's Free Spirited. Will more people be joining the Christ consciousness from all over the world? And I would say definitely yes.
I think so many people are waking up to it now and accepting that. Well, I mean, what else we got to believe in? No one believes in the system anymore. Not that they should have done in the first place.
Yeah, too right. And I mean, that's becoming evident. Although I've met or come across a few people recently where it isn't still yet becoming evident. But it's like, can you not see it yet? Can you not see it yet? But it's, like I say, it's becoming tangible. It's becoming a thing. It's becoming, I would say, it's returning. It's becoming part of us, and not just in the spiritual aspect, but also in the physical aspect as well. And I really feel that, we talk about, there's a lot of new age stuff, spoken about, and 3D, 5D, 7D, and whatever else. Okay. And I don't dispute that, because I've got two guides. One's a 7D guide and one's an 8D guide, apparently. But it's just a label. It's a label for consciousness, because we, as humans, we have to realize things, be able to visualize things, perhaps label things to make it real to us. But where the God consciousness, the Christ consciousness is concerned, we don't need to label anything, because it's part of us anyway, regardless. That's what humanity is all about. And sadly, a lot of people have forgotten that over time, and it's been kind of drummed out of us, or educated out of us, or whatever process has happened to make that happen. But that divine spark, we've all got that little spark of light. And there are those that obviously have become more enlightened, more consciously aware that light grows brighter. But I tell you what, now I think what's happening right now is that we're going to need our sunglasses before long, because the light's going to get so bright.
I really do agree. And there's so many, like, I was listening to something the other day. I forgot, where was it? I'm trying to remember sources and stuff. I would look at so many different things, and there's a huge mass adoption of Muslims changing their faith, which is like a massively, like, a thing that they say they should never do. And once you've chosen that faith, you can never leave. There's so many people now going over to Christianity, which is just like you've never heard of before. But now there's like thousands and thousands of people actually changing faith because they've believed that we are living in the end times. And it's like the environment has become their certainty. They're looking around going, this ain't right. I need to switch it up here. I've had it wrong the whole time. And it's, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I've not studied any paths of any Muslims that I know, and I don't understand that in itself enough to be able to comment on it. But from what I saw, I was just like, wow, that's quite incredible. And it's not, I don't believe, and belief is a very powerful word, because our beliefs change all the time. So let's just say, in terms of what I hold to be true, is that I don't think that this is going to be such a touchy conversation as much. People say don't talk about religion or politics or whatever. I think the concept and the conversation of God is going to be very, very present moving forward in many conversations that usually wouldn't have been discussing the concept of Christ consciousness in any form. And a lot of people I know who are obsessed with aliens, who have all different interactions, a lot of those people are now also looking and saying, is there aliens? Is that a concept that's been given? Because there's a rabbit hole, there's a deep rabbit hole around the concept of there is no such thing as space. And spaces that's obviously not space between you and I, but spaces in the space that we've been told around. And apparently, the understanding of this, there is no concept above the firmament, which is, when you mentioned in the Bible, the firmament is the, it's kind of the dome, as it were. There is no space beyond that space. And the concept of planets as such that we've been given can be explained in other ways. And the concept of star systems, and the way, talk about aliens and life on other planets, it's all another way for us to look further and further and further outside of ourselves, apparently. So I'm really interested in going down that rabbit hole to see, because I love to explore and to see, but the concept that people, it's like, I've never been to space and I'm okay with not going to space. I've not bought an EasyJet ticket to go to space and I'm all right with that. I don't hold, my identity is not stuck on whether, I hold space to be true. I've never been there. But some people are so adamant that space exists, they cannot hold another thought within their mind that something other than what they've been told could possibly be true. And I was saying to a friend of mine yesterday, Katerina is probably watching right now. Katerina, if you are, say hello. I was watching, we were talking about something, and she said to me about a purple orange the other day. She said, imagine if oranges were purple. And I sat there and I thought to myself, just for a minute, whoever's watching now, and just Jonathan, just imagine that you went into Morrison's or Tesco's, wherever you shop, and you go up to the fruit section and you see loads of purple balls that are on this fruit section, and there's purple oranges. And when you look at these purple oranges, there's if you open it up, there's purple juice. It's not orange juice, it's purple juice. And they just imagine what that would look like. And then there's a little label next to it on the side that says purple oranges. And because you've seen it in Tesco's with your own eyes, you're like, wow, there's purple oranges. It's amazing. You haven't questioned where they come from, who put them there. You don't know who wrote the label to say these are purple oranges. They could have just been dyed grapefruits, for example. They could just be grapefruits that now look like big, large oranges. But we don't question things enough. We would just take it because we've seen it in a trusted space like Morrison's or Tesco's. We take it and we're like, yes, now there's purple oranges, and off we go with that information. That's how most people take in information. It could be the most random thing, but they'll take it because it's come through a trusted source. Whereas the way I look at things, I'm like, who put that label there? This doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to question it. I'm going to go and try and find factual evidence of a purple orange to see what country it came from, who bought it, where it's at, how long it's been around. There's so much more than just picking up the orange and the purple orange and walking off. And this is what I think now everybody is starting to do. Everyone's willing to look at the label, where it came from, who did it. And that's the level of questioning we need to go into, even into our trusted spaces like our supermarkets. We need to be questioning every area of our life to be able to really come into alignment with ourselves, because right now we're fundamentally living on a belief system that's been created for us that isn't really ours. Does that make sense?
It's the Matrix syndrome, isn't it?
Which came out yesterday, Matrix number 4.
It's exactly that. It's this construct, and so many brilliant lines from Matrix, the original, about how the world's constructed and how we all take it for granted and how we would fight to keep it. And but the spiritual message is the exact opposite right now, and it's kind of, well, let it go. It's time to let this thing go. Because it's not real, it's not the reality of the situation, and yes, questioning, question everything and look into it and research, because people expect. I feel it might be not completely accurate, but the people out there that look at people of a spiritual ilk and think, oh yeah, no, you're crazy, you believe anything new. And that's the exact opposite, really, because I feel as though to open up in a spiritual sense, you've got to have a certain amount of knowledge or be fed a certain amount of knowledge, and then make up your own mind where that's going to take you. And it's very much like the Bible. And we're when I was 14, I'd been told in my life that this is the truth. This is the truth. And if you don't believe it, then God will put you to death if you don't believe it. Yeah. And so I had that kind of guilt trip through my teen years. And then when I came into spiritualism, it was a different perception of that spiritual truth. And I'm thinking, wow, yeah, I can handle this one. And when I looked into Buddhism and I thought, yeah, that kind of actually makes a lot of sense. There's nobody going to be there when you pass from this world with a big, kind of whatever it is, poking you up the backside for the rest of your life because you've been a naughty person. That's not happening.
Yeah.
It's like you just go back into that sea of consciousness, and there's so many belief systems, isn't there, that really you've seen over the last 2 years how these things are now being deconstructed bit by bit, and it's glorious to watch. And again, my guide Phoenix said to me right at the beginning of the first lockdown, lockdown #1, that you think this is genius. Wait till you see what we can do. Okay. And they are literally everything that's come out now is like a reversal of that untruth. And I watched a video recently. I tuned into the guys at the sheep farm, and they actually live in the same town as me, Huddersfield. So I'm in touch with them, and they put something up about, dare I mention this gentleman, but Chris Whitty, yeah? And he actually spoke about inverted reality, yeah? But not inverted reality that we would say, because we perhaps feel that his version of reality might be a little bit inverted to ours, but he actually used the words an inversion of reality or inverted reality. I thought that's kind of really strange phrase that you're using. To try
they know what they're saying when they talk, like they rehearse their shit.
Absolutely.
Next level rehearsal.
Yeah, and they don't, they are just stuck in one narrative, unfortunately, and that's never going to change because they'll always be in there. That's a deeper conversation, but it is basically that, I keep reading the comments, by the way.
There's a few comments.
And, wisdom, wonderful. But it is that, it's that kind of, it's all here. It's all here. It's all within. I talked about sunglasses, into there's my polar bear with the sunglasses on.
I love
ready for 2022, and the bright shining light that's coming out.
I want one of those. Where'd you get it from?
Anne bought it a couple of years ago, Christmas jumper, and it actually lights up, but I've lost the little box thing that it does actually. Anyway, it used to be my favourite Christmas line, oh look, I'm flashing type of thing, but there you go. But it is, isn't it? And it is letting go, deconstructing all this matrix thing, it's going to take time, and I feel, I was really concerned. I'm thinking, how long is this going to take? When we started on the pathway, you know what? Now I'm getting to the point where I'm
enjoying the ride.
Thinking, you know what? It'll take as long as it takes, But now we're seeing tangible signs that what we've been told on a spiritual level is actually beginning to take shape. And that love and that light and that compassion and that healing, it's all beginning to come out now. And we've got to be there to kind of help, really. That's what we're here for.
We're not here for the I told you so's.
No, exactly.
We're here for the space for someone to come in and to be like, oh my God, I didn't know. And for you to be like, that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
What else would you like to know? How can I help you in this moment? How can we be of service to those that are waking up? And it's somebody reached out to me this week, which I won't say who, but they'd open up the WhatsApp and there was an old conversation from me and them from from the beginning of the pandemic, and I'd not seen them on WhatsApp for a long time, haven't spoken to them for ages, and they didn't open up their WhatsApp and see a conversation from me and them and go, "Oh, I've not seen this for ages. How are you now? How are you? Are you okay? Is everything all right?" Their immediate step into my world, like 18 months after the original conversation, was like, "Do you still believe in this? I suppose you'll be second guessing yourself now," or something along those lines. And then posted a video of like to prove himself right and it was about what's his name, the guy that did the David Icke interview, Brian Rose, at the very beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And obviously he's been seen as a scam artist now, and there's lots of things that have come out about the way he operates, and it's all ego based and all that kind of stuff. And I said it still doesn't disqualify the conversations that man has had with some of the greatest people on the planet. That's what we're talking about, is the content, not always necessarily the deliverer. Don't shoot the messenger, as it were. But this person just jumped out, to me 18 months later, just to prove that he was right. And I'm like, that's the energy of where a lot of people are at. It's like, I'm right, you're wrong, ha ha ha. And it's wow, you're going to struggle moving forward, because it's not about that. It's, I can be right sometimes by leaving the toast in the toaster by leaving the toast just perfectly, but I could be wrong by also not checking it and it, burning one day. But it doesn't, I don't define who I am on whether I've burnt the toast or not. And it's the same. I don't define who I am, whether I'm right or wrong about the information that I share or that I'm interested in, because that's irrelevant to who I am at the core. I hold much more value than the knowledge that is within me, and it's only the wisdom, knowing the wisdom of that, and it's I find it very interesting, because I really felt I knew some people before this pandemic, or I felt I knew them to be on a certain level of awareness and of openness and then all of a sudden they've contracted and they're triple jabbed and they're arguing with people and they're fighting, and I'm like, whoa, you were on a spiritual, or what I thought was a spiritual path. And then I've seen other people that used to slate my conversations and take the piss out of me and say, what do you mean rabbit hole, all of this kind of stuff, and who were really against everything, who are as wide awake as anything now. It's like the roles have shifted, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I've had people say to me, I used to think you were a bit nuts. And I'm like, yeah, I know you did. It's like, have you got anything I can watch? And I'm like, yeah, go down this rabbit hole, this one. And it's so heartwarming. But the difference of people that I thought were on some kind of spiritual path to now realize that they are immensely still in their egos, and it's the right and wrong journey. It's shocking.
Yeah. It is. It's quite amazing. We'll always look back at these times and think, wow, how did that happen?
Wow.
Yeah. And it's like, I haven't got grandkids yet, but I know one day perhaps I will have, and they'll be going, Granddad, what did you do in the great pandemic?
Yeah.
And I'll hid myself away with a bottle of gin. No, I won't. I'll be.
Yeah. I watched Netflix. Did you not see that episode? It's like, I get so wound up. What did you do in the pandemic? I told everybody else they should get jabbed, and then I watched Netflix, and then I told everybody else I thought they were nuts. That conversation is not.
That's it. Yeah. And just jeered and pointed at people on Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, we call God's children, aren't we? And it's totally ironic that we actually do behave very much like children, the human race, don't we?
We do.
And there's this playground bullying thing that's been happening for the last couple of years, and it really is that pointing, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and sadly, it's coming from those people who are kind of in control of, the countries. And that's where the bullying culture is coming from. And but we talked about knowledge as well, and something that popped into my head, Nat, was that everything we read and everything we experience, we could take it as being new, but actually we're just reminding ourselves of where we actually came from and who we actually are. Everything we take in is a reminder. It's like waking up the memory, the divine memory within us, and we, it's not like we have to attain something, like attain enlightenment or attain the ascension. It's actually already there within us. We just have to remember it, and once we begin to remember that part of us, it just switches a switch and it becomes so much more easier. Although spiritual pathway is not always the easiest, but you know, hopefully people who've experienced that will know what I'm talking about. But that's the way it is. It's like, I know you're a great reader, aren't you? You know, you read loads and loads of books, and I'm assuming, rightly or wrongly, that has actually, you know, allowed you to remember who you are. A lot of that stuff helps you remember. It's 8/11, by the way, 2011, just for a bit of an 11 moment there.
Oh,
yeah.
11 moment, yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, what were you going to say?
No, I think I've kind of done it. It's just that kind of remembering, you know, it's that remembering who we are for me.
Yeah, it is. And I feel that you find, like, if you say something and I agree, it's because I already know. On some level, I already know. And I'm like, you're awaking that part in me. I'm like, yes, this makes sense. And that's when it makes sense to you. You internalize it, you resonate with it, then you move because you've been inspired, you're something's come up you within and you're like, yes, I love that. And then you follow on. And for me, I used to read a lot when I was a kid, which I've forgotten about until my mum and dad bought all my books down from when we moved down here. But I used to read a lot when I was like really young. And then I went through a phase of never reading a book. And it wasn't until I was about 20, I read this is a terrible admission. I read Katie Price's book, Jordan's book, and I read another terrible choice of a book. I won't say a terrible choice, actually, because I enjoyed it at the time. Jodie Marsh's book when I was younger. They were the two autobiographies I read, and I'm just like, so I wanted to know more about these girls. And I used to just think, what the hell? Where did they get this stuff from? And I read those two books. And then it wasn't until like later, I think it was a 27. Yeah, when I was 27. And I started reading and I started seeing and feeling myself within the pages of the book. And I was like, and it was all the self-development stuff, personal development stuff. And you never get angry at an author. So like if somebody else would have said half the shit that I'd have read in the books, I'd have been like, how dare you? But actually it's because I was reading it and taking it in and sitting with it. And I started to write better. I started to talk, better. I started to be able to be, a little bit more delicate with the way I spell things, although I am still probably quite a bad speller compared to what I used to be like. But I really feel like I learned so much from reading and expanding my mind and becoming open to things. And then I went through a period of stopping reading because I was taking on so much knowledge. And there was this internal part of me was like, this is a framework, but you need to put it down. You need to go back to yourself because you've got a lot of wisdom from your own experience that you now need to learn to articulate, and you now need to learn to get that out. And I started doing that and had it like a year or so off reading, which also really helped me because I didn't want to be regurgitating other people's information all the time. I wanted it to be more authentic. And reading did change so much for me. And there's some incredible books, but now I have, I've got this part of me that I feel like I need to go back into reading a bit more because the last year I haven't really read as much. But there's also a part of me where I really struggle now to finish things. And I really struggle to finish books, and I really struggle to finish videos, and I've really struggled. It's like it's almost like my body's like, whoa, too much, and it just shuts down, and off I am to the next thing. And my attention span is like an attention span of a fly at the moment because I think I've been, launching I Am Sound, which is my business, and doing other things, and I've really struggled to make to the end. I don't know if you've noticed that or not in terms of your own.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just a short attention span now. And I don't know if I've been trained or whether there's something else or what. I'm not sure.
Well, I've got a pile of books this high, and you can tell I don't do cameras a great deal, but, and it's like a huge pile of books. I think the last book I actually read, I attempted the sound book that you mentioned. Yeah. Still can't remember the title of it. But I attempted that and I kind of lost track of it kind of about a quarter into it. The last book I actually read from cover to cover was 1984.
Right, yeah.
And that was about 2 or 3, at least probably 2 or 3 years ago. And absolutely, I it's like you just kind of, it fizzles out for some reason. It kind of, I really want to read this, And I might have mentioned this before now, but this is part of it, part of having the information within us already. and being really amazing receptors and transmitters of information. But a lady said to my wife Anne that, you know, we're actually all going to we won't need memory anymore. We'll just channel information. We'll just actually live channel the experience of living. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, yeah, I can kind of get that, you know. But it's all within, it's all there. And I think of crystals again. You know, we talked about crystals at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I teach people how to untap the memory within crystals, bearing in mind that these things are completely ancient. Yeah, there you go. Look,
Yeah,
wonderful.
I sat with it on the top of my head the other day just to see what that would feel like.
Yeah. One of my favourites is this one.
There we go. I'll leave my little crystal. Oh, look, I've got a party hat on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you have. Well, I keep it there because it'll start transmitting information to you.
There you go. See what's coming online.
Yeah. And this is actually you can actually see the helix in this crystal.
Mm-hmm.
You can, you know, when you turn it around, because it's the basis of its structure is quartz, is helical like DNA.
Didn't you use that in my sound healing when I came? Then you got something that you use in the, what was it?
You generally tend to use a big piece of amethyst,
Right.
but that's Anne's, is that, and you know, it's very precious.
We haven't touched it, and we didn't touch it. It wasn't us. It was the cats.
But yes, I do use a number of different crystals, of course, but they all have information locked into them, you know, and we can extract it. So if you imagine that every single one of us as individuals has got information locked into us, multiple experiences of consciousness, that all we have to do is learn to unlock that potential, you know, and very much meditation is the key to that, as all the great teachers have tried to explain to us since time began. So you know, it's like, forget the time aspect. We're actually already there. We just don't yet consciously perceive it. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah. I've said to Katerina the other day when we were having a conversation, I've already seen us, and I'm going to say on the other side, but what I mean by that is because everything's happening all at the same time, but I know we've already won, and I don't like saying that because it's a game as well, but it's like I'm trying to get used to the language really, but we've already made it. I have absolutely zero fear about this time that we're going through right now. And I can project and see things and then come back and say things. People are like, how did you know that was going to happen? And I'm like, how did you not see it? But I don't know if everybody's got that kind of level of vision, and obviously not, but we're fine. If you're doing what's true for you and you're willing to commit to what is true, and you're willing to hold yourself and others in the love that's necessary, you're sweet. If you're not, might be a little bit tricky, and that's not a judgment, it's an observation. It's harder for those that are not willing to align with what's true than it is for those who don't, for those that do. And you just have to keep coming back into, am I making a decision, like I think I discussed with you last week about direct, so you make a decision, it's either got a direct benefit in the future or a consequence. There's nothing more to it. You know, I think that's what we said we were going to talk about as well, wasn't it? It's like whether you're creating it. It's like if every decision I make today, if I don't pay, like I've got to pay the team today and I've got to pay out X amount and they've got to get paid tomorrow. If I decide not to do that today, there's a consequence for that decision tomorrow where I'm going to let 7 people down.
Yes.
A lot of people's not going to get the Christmas in the way that they wanted, and they're not going to have the money that they need. So if I don't do that, there's a consequence. If I do it, there's 7 benefits instantly from that decision.
It is. It's how can I put it? Once you get the concept of this time thing, time is utterly, completely irrelevant. It's like that, to me, that's as liberating as learning that there's no death, learning that the spirit continues.
Just change the frequency.
And to understand that there's no time You know, like we've got to achieve something in a certain or set time frame. Okay, well, we might have in this construct, but in reality, there is no time limit on our own personal spiritual ascension, on our evolution as a spirit being. Yeah, it's just not a thing. It's a foreign concept to the spirit. Is the concept of time, and I think that's probably why we struggle a bit when we come to this planet. It's like, oh my God, you know, what's this thing on the wall that tells me that I've got to do such and such such time, you know?
Strange concept when you think about it like that. There's something on the wall that every time you look at it can make you feel anxious as hell.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh shit, I'm late. And you're like, that literally looking at that on the wall, and we program our lives by looking at that. Is it time for me to finish work yet? Oh, how long have I got left of my day yet? Oh, am I late? Oh, have I missed someone's birthday? Oh, that's what we do. We project onto this little thing on the wall that's going.
Yeah.
And you're like, that really is a nuts concept when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. But every second is a step further towards our release of you know, from this world into the spirit world again, you know. And but it's what we do in that time frame that's important. And yeah, it's just amazing, really. It's mind blowing. Oh, something I just need to tell you about. They've popped into my head. Is I've met quite a lot of different forms of spirit recently, and I feel that's part of what we talked about at the beginning about the Christ consciousness and the whole cosmic consciousness thing really playing a big part now. And I've had for a good while now in readings this beautiful looking being. And I know you mentioned about the gender thing a little bit earlier, but I'm going to go the whole hog here and probably get slated for it. But, you know, spirit do actually come across as a masculine energy or a feminine energy in many respects, you know, and that may not actually be what they are, but they project that to make us feel a little bit more comfortable, possibly. But again, it doesn't really matter. But you tend to look at the feminine energies as being the more gentle and the masculine energies as being stronger. So when we want a little bit of strength, you might get a masculine type of guy coming to work with you. Or if you need a little bit of healing, or you're learning the healing arts or whatever, you might get a feminine energy that comes to work with you. And there's been a being that came through, and I'm going to describe it. You know, I wish I could paint and draw these things. I'd love to be able to do that, you know.
Maybe you can just get the paints and the paintbrushes.
Yeah, I know. I should do it. I might give it a go over Christmas, actually.
I shouldn't tell you should do things either. You could get paintbrushes.
No, I should. No, you're right. No, I should.
Get your arse in gear, Jonathan.
Get your paintbrush out, will you? You prat.
Yeah, hobbycraft. You'll be fine.
Yeah. But beautiful, like grey, whitey blue cloaks, very soft. And when they move, the cloaks shimmer. But all I can see is, so there's a hood and a cloak. And all I can see is probably the tops of the cheekbones there. I can't see the eyes of these beings. Very feminine in characteristic. And the chin going into not a very sharp point, but a very gentle point. Yeah. Very high cheekbones. The skin is absolutely smooth as smooth can be.
Yeah.
And they are so beautiful. Anyway, today in a reading, they actually identified themselves and said that they represent what they call the sisters or the sisterhood of the divine light.
A sisterhood of divine light.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow. And apparently they're eighth dimensional beings. They're basically one step away from becoming spirit full time. I just talked about time, but are you a full time spirit? You know, I'm part time at the moment, you know. Uh, yeah, but I will do it full time.
Oh, yeah, I'm just doing
get
it
a
part time to
promotion.
save up for something.
Yeah, I get a promotion. I'll be full time before long. But
Love
but
it.
you understand where I'm coming from with that.
Mhm.
Hopefully, that it's that crossover point of going completely interdimensional and merging back in with the greater consciousness. And they are wonderful, very powerful healing beings, by the way. And they are coming around us right now for the healing purpose. Apparently, one of the functions of these beings sounds a bit whatever, doesn't it? Functions, but they are planet healers. Yeah. Not only will they help us to heal ourselves, but they are planet healers as well. So they're very much coming around us to heal the planet.
Nice.
But we can call upon them. So if you remember the name,
Sisters of Divine Light.
Sisterhood of Divine Light, to come around and heal us.
Yeah.
Bring it on. Yeah, because they're ready and they're waiting for us. So, and I'm pretty sure, another 12 months we'll be talking about even more amazing beings, that are coming around us right now.
Indeed. For me, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities now of seeing more energies, physically with your own eyes, like seeing things, hearing things, feeling things, and being open to that. And you're not going mad, you're not going crazy, you're just allowing yourself to see what's already there and becoming into the into harmonic resonance with those beings. And we honestly, I genuinely believe, do need all the help we can get.
Yeah.
So if you're getting help or you're being guided, follow it. It's as long as you, when you're getting that help or the feeling, as long as you feel good within yourself and it helps you to feel calmer, I don't see a problem with following it. If you're very nervous and you feel very uncomfortable and that is not making you feel good and you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I should do this or not, that might not be an energy or a spirit that is working in your favor. And there are, I myself, as you have had a very strange part of our lives where we've come into contact, into connection with things and people that have actually passed, that have died, that are not here anymore. So we've both have lived experience of talking to someone essentially that's died, that's passing a message on. And when that first happened to me, through me, I had no idea it was coming from. It was the strangest experience because my understanding in that moment, oh, we don't die. Okay, where are we then? Because where are you and where am I? And now we're having a conversation. I'm just like, this is and I felt their presence sit down next to me on the bed, and I was just like, oh my God. And it was a very divine experience, and it was beautiful. But in that moment, I was just like, oh, it's like tuning in the radio. You can listen to Radio 1 and Radio 2, but never at the same time because you're not tuned in. So all it was is at that time I was tuned into the right frequency, got that information and gave it on. And that's the essence of it. It's nothing to fear. It's the only thing to fear is when, I believe, the only time to fear them is when you're calling them on. Because when you invite energy in and you don't do it correctly, or you ask for spirits, when you're doing a Ouija board or whatever it is, anything can come through. Anything that is a vibrational match to your original intention or to somebody else's intention in the room, and you can only be in control of what you wish to experience. So you can't be accountable for anyone else in the room. So doing a Ouija board or anything like that and inviting in spirits, no. No. It's, for me, it's if they turn up, it's because they are meant to be here and they've got a message and there's something that they need you to do, or they need to show you themselves in some way in order for a higher level of belief and acceptance. But calling them on, I personally don't ever do that. And people say you can call on your spirits. I feel like you can hand things over and surrender to a higher power, whether that be your spirit guides or anything. But I never call anything in, because I've also been, I don't want to say a victim of times where things have come in that weren't for my highest benefit and were at play. And obviously there was some serious things that happened at that time. So for me, I'm always delicate about it. I'm always like, I'd rather them just arrive and share what they need to share rather than the other way around.
Yeah, one thing to back that up, what you just said there, Nat, is we have to give them permission to work with us. If there is something that's forcing itself upon you that you've not given permission, then that's the warning sign.
Yes.
They're very much, we have to give permission, and that's how mediums work. We give permission for our guides to work with us and for those people in spirit to come through, whatever entity that may be. Okay, and over time and experience and development, we learn, what's not good, what's good, and etc. etc. because you become more attuned to the energies. But yeah, it's particularly like Ouija, because Ouija just opens up the channels to the very low frequencies. It's like going, yeah, come on, I'll have radio tripe on, 666 FM or something, you know what I mean? And it's like, not I Am Sound, by the way, which is
not I Am Sound. No, I Am Sound's the highest frequency, I shall have you know.
Working for the highest good. That should be a new strap line, I think.
I'm going to write that down because I'm just doing strap lines at the moment. Working for the highest good. Having a chat with Katharina after this, so we'll be putting that on the website. Working for the highest good. But
you understand where I'm coming from with that.
Yeah.
You've got to ask for the highest. Go to the God source. Go to the highest vibration. It's not unattainable. It's like asking your parent for help, and there's nothing wrong with that. So
just don't ask for anything, because anything can come through.
Yeah, just it's the permission. Say I am, well, how can I describe it really? You open yourself up, but give permission for those beings to come along and work with you, and but really set your sights high, don't set them low, and try not to use a Ouija board. Ouija board, yes, it can get you connected, but you need to know what you're doing with that. It's not a good thing because they
don't come with instructions.
There's a lot of low, particularly right now. There's a lot of low frequency stuff in this. I think you called it a game. I call it a war, spiritual war. There's a lot of low frequency stuff right now that is desperate, by the way. It's desperate energy because it's trying to cling on to its old life, and it knows its old life is fading. Yeah, so go for the highest and brightest, folks, if you're working with spirit, and inviting the Christ consciousness and anything that you I know you mentioned about inviting it now, but give permission for them to be able to work with you. That's the correct way of looking at it.
It is. I'll take that back. It's about the permission is the most important thing. And for me, there's like I always find if spirit comes and it has a message, it's never an evil message. It's always a kind, loving message. I would never pass on an evil message anyway if anything came through. But I don't, you will know if you're closing your eyes, you're tuning in and you're listening to yourself. You'll be able to hear and feel whether that's for your highest guidance. If you're not connected with yourself and you're all over the place, you're not going to tune in to the right kind of frequency. And that's why our personal responsibility is so important. It's what space. I think as another thing, it's like, what space are we inviting them into? But another way of looking at it, and something that I've come to know, is the quality of the silence that we leave after we talk. That's the container, that's the space. And if you want to bring in something of a high vibe, you want to have a conversation, you want to get messages, you have to create the safest space for it to come in, because when you do that, you're drawing in something that's also of a matching frequency. So it's bringing that in through that space. I keep saying, with all my meditations that I do with clients, and as I'm on Insight Timer every week, and when I'm talking to the team, when I do meditations with everyone, I end it usually as like, I am safe, I am sound, I am divinely protected, and just leave it, and it just really, that resonance, because that's where we want to be. We need to be safe, sound, and divinely protected in this bonkers game that we're in right now, or war, whichever we're in.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And and for anybody who's learning, that pathway, or is beginning that pathway, seek out a spiritual teacher, get some advice, get some.
That's you. No, I've got to do it that way. I'm trying to do it. You are. No, you aren't. This is just. This person does good courses. This person, go to their website. It's underneath. And go to their website, and you can learn all sorts of tips and tricks about working with spirit guides and energy. I think that would be, the safest place for you to go to learn.
Yeah, we all gain this experience over time, don't we? And it's not for us to keep; it's for us to share. And we need it right now because the spirit's awakening. So lots of people got lots of questions, lots of weird experiences going on, like you've mentioned, Nat, and not always understanding it, not understanding whether it's a good thing or not a good thing, and that can be quite a scary place to be if you're not 100% sure. But there's so many people in the world right now who are waiting to take on board those questions and tasks and just try and help out where we can, it's amazing. It's an amazing pathway, and one that I've never looked back on. So
yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
You can't go back anyway. Even if you want.
No, you can't. No.
Once the door has been opened and the veil has been lifted, good fucking luck.
Yeah,
That's all I've got to say.
Yeah. Just strap yourself in and hang on, really.
Exactly. There's literally seatbelts at the ready. There's no way you can turn back. But why would you want to? I mean, what are we going to go back to? Really? Yeah. Once seen, never unseen. That's what Debs has said. Once seen, never unseen.
Absolutely, that's very true. Yeah.
So I want to say thank you very much for joining me again.
You're welcome.
I love chatting. I always do. It's great. So in the next two, do you know what? Can you hear my chair squeaking? It is becoming the most.
No.
You not every time. Literally, I go like that, and my chair squeaks. And when obviously when I'm recording meditations and stuff, it's not good.
I'm partly deaf anyway, so it probably.
Oh, it's all right. Yeah, no, you won't notice then. Okay, so 2 weeks, around about 2 weeks from now, is the 6th. Oh, actually, I'm going to be on retreat in Scotland.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I'm going on a retreat. I'm going up to the to Inverness, into the north of the north of the north.
Wonderful.
But if you're up for it, maybe the night of the 3rd of December would be lovely. Sorry, 3rd of January for a catch up after the Christmas period to see what's gone down in Crazy Town.
Is that on Monday?
It is Monday the 3rd. We'll book it in now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've got particularly much on that.
Let's book you in. Let's do that. So we'll have you back on the 3rd. And for everyone else who's joined in, thank you very much. For everyone else who's watching this afterwards, please don't forget that you can like and subscribe to my channel if you want to. If you want to see me again, if you want to see Jonathan again, that's good. You can go underneath as well. You can check out Jonathan's website. I've put it on there. And also my brand new website for my personal brand and my meditations is under there. And then we launched I Am Sound on Winter Solstice.
Yay.
So yeah, we are up with our membership running. I haven't started promoting it yet. I've literally just finished everything with Katerina's help and the team's help. So that will be going out fully in January. And for now, I'm just going to switch off.
Is that going to be? Sorry, are we off?
No, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah,
is
brilliant.
That going to be what?
I was going to say, is that on digital? Is that on digital radio?
No, not yet. But it's good. So basically, the membership is a weekly membership that you can get. We've taken you down the rabbit hole. So all the wisdom stuff that we're talking about, all the different areas of sound, energy, quantum physics, time travel, ancient stuff. We go down the rabbit hole every week. There's also challenges in there to help you reconnect back to like yourselves and to community or people around you. There's discounts in there. There's loads of stuff. And we're putting together a global game. So we're getting people to play a game to shift the consciousness of the planet. So that's what's going to be coming in January. So if you want to sign up, you can go to iamsoundacademy.com and you can become a member. The full thing, you can sign up now, but the content doesn't get released until the 3rd of January. So I'm very excited. So you'll be part of that, Jonathan. FYI.
Well,
we've got a mission to do.
If there's anything I can do to help with that, I'm here, as you know. And just to say, it's like if I can wake up to something like I Am Sound in the morning when the alarm radio thing goes off, rather than some news broadcaster, I would just love that, So
well, this is where I want to go. I need to get. I'm really, really, really wanting to get, but it costs a fortune. Do you know how much it costs to have a radio station? So obviously we've got a radio station on digital, so that's fine. So we can do it all digitally online. You can go to the website, you can listen to the radio station. We've got an app. Do you know we've got an app? We've got an app in the App Store that you can download to get this.
All right, okay, I do now.
There you go. So you can download the app. Just go I Am Sound Radio in both the App Store and the Google Play Store. But it's like $7,500 a month. Wow. To be on DAB.
Right.
So I do want people trotting around and driving with I'm Sound, and I do want people out there, but you're gonna have to get a membership in order for me to be able to fund that, to
Yeah.
get the radio out there globally. But it
Okay.
costs a fortune. But it is on the plan. It is on the
Brilliant.
plan, and that's where I want to go with it. But yes, you can get the app. It's in the Play Store, and it looks like, let me see, it's that. It's a little smiley face. Can you see the
Oh
rainbow
yes, yes, I
smiley
can see
face?
it. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
I'll
I
download
am
that.
Sound Rainbow. I'm Sound Radio, from the App Store.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Right.
Well, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas anyway and a Happy New
Yes.
Year.
As do I. Thank you so much. Go and download the app. Go to Jonathan's website. Check my website out, and then go to I Am Sound. What else do you need to do for the evening? I mean, right? And then you can go to bed. You have been told. Right. Thank you so much, Jonathan. You stay there. For everyone else at home, thank you so much. We will see you all on the next one, 3rd of December, 3rd of January. We'll be back with Jonathan. And yeah, have a lovely, lovely, safe and sound Christmas and New Year. Bye for now.
Wonderful. Bye.